The Chronicle thanks our 2023 Meet the Candidates sponsors: Ann Colton Films, Flossmoor Station Restaurant and Brewery, Jonathan Kane Salon and Spa, and Tom Brabeck Law Office. With their help, HF voters will be well informed on Election Day, April 4th.
We will not need new revenue sources in 5 years. We need new revenue sources now. We have very, very clear guardrails established by the state. Any municipality under 25,000 citizens has to conform to rules and laws that the state has set up, because it's implied that a smaller municipality does not govern as well as a larger municipality. Flossmoor is financially responsible, fiscally solid, but we need new revenue streams now. The excellent work of our finance department, our department directors, the board has enabled us to stay financially sound, but we do need new revenue streams now. As far as a tax on eating, it would be similar to the tax that is already in place in Chicago. There's an entertainment tax, something similar to that. And I believe there are multiple surrounding municipalities that have a similar tax. So I would be in favor of it. Typically, taxes add pennies to the dollar, and if it helps Flossmoor stay solvent and fiscally sound, I'm in favor of it. We understand that economic development is one of the key ways that will not only give potentially a property tax help to residents, but also bring in new revenue. Because through retail, we'll get the 1% sales tax that was implemented in 2018, and we'll also be able to see property tax relief. But in addition to that, right now, we're looking at possibly a contract to help us evaluate our retail needs and wants, what's viable for Flossmoor. One of the things about the property surrounding Myers is it's not a solid space. In other words, there are homeowners, which kind of make it more of a patchwork in some places. So a developer coming in has to look at it from the standpoint of what fits on this land where people still live. I'm not sure how that will be addressed, but that is one challenge. Also, we want to look at continuing to keep the open storefronts and stores full. The Commons has done a great job. We've got quite a few businesses. How does Flossmoor support those businesses? How do we encourage people to seek out, try the businesses in the Commons? How do we also help sustain those businesses? So we're connecting and trying, different ways to do that. When I say we, I mean the Business Association, even the commissions are assisting sometimes with that. I know our events manager is creative and helps to come up with ideas to help drive, so to speak, customers. As far as economic development, it's also tied to our work with infrastructure, because developers want streets that they can travel. They don't want to be worried about flooding. They want viaducts that they're sure they can get under, so to speak. They want to see a village or municipality that has good services, can support their development, can be attractive. So all of those things are tied. Yes, one thing is making sure we have a business in the space, but infrastructure plays such a key role in economic development that we have to focus on multiple things at one time. I'd like to start by complimenting the Berry Road project. It's an award-winning or potentially award-winning project
The permeable pavers are a delight to drive on. They're attractive. It was amazing viewing that process, understanding all that went into where we are today. So I want to compliment Public Works, the engineering firm, the village for working together. Just an amazing project. So we have that to be very proud of. As far as the viaduct, we already know that there are plans and designs that are in place for that, and we're hoping that work can start in the near term. And residents can look forward to hearing that it's well underway. There's still some discussion about where the water will go, whether it will be, there were talks about it being private property. I'm not sure that's going to happen. And now they're talking about retention pond, so that has to still be finalized, but it's moving forward. I, to this day, feel deeply sorrowful, and I think about Mrs. Miller, and I prefer to call her Mrs. Miller, even though we've been hearing her referred to by her first name. I just think out of respect for her and her family, I prefer to call her Mrs. Miller. My sadness when I heard the news, it was palpable. Who wants that to happen ever? I know her family may never get past a feeling of sorrow, and for many reasons they shouldn't. Personally and professionally, I'm of the school of saying what you can say, saying what you can't say, and talking about if you know when you will be able to give more information. I'm not a person to hold back, but I am a person to be very careful. I think the village erred in waiting to speak. I think we could have spoken up sooner. I understand many of the reasons for that. You do have to be careful. You have to be sure that you've covered considerations such as legal ramifications, but I do think we could have spoken up sooner. Even if we said, here's what we can't say. And from the day after it happened, I was a proponent of that. I also believe in trying to think about questions people might ask, to just be prepared. People might be curious about this, or this, or this. What will our response be? I like to be proactive. I don't like to be caught off guard when we, as smart people, can think about what's possible. Protest is our right, and many things I don't agree with, but to me, protesters should be heard. Whether they live in Flossmoor, whether they live in New Jersey, whether they live in Monterey, California, anything that happens in Flossmoor potentially has a ripple effect.
I thank the Chronicle for providing me this opportunity. I've enjoyed it. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it's been very helpful for me to hear the kinds of questions that you feel are important. And I hope those listening have gained information about how I view and how familiar I am with the issues. I believe that as a lifelong public servant, even though I've never been elected before, I am committed to serving Flossmoor. I want to continue the work that I've experienced the last year and a half. I believe that I have not only professional experience to contribute, but personal. I have a solid commitment to integrity, transparency, and financial equity for everyone in Flossmoor, and I hope that the voters will support me